And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to the Frontlines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. And I'm here with my co-host for today.
Tank. It's Tank. Sorry. I'm out of practice, man. I'm out of practice.
Yeah, no, I've kind of, taken this time for the last, I don't know, 10 days or so, and haven't done any videos. The last one was like 10 days ago. And, we did, 472 in a row. Then my 473rd, I tried it 3 times in a row, 3 different days, because my main computer went down. Tried to get this desktop to do live broadcast. Everything I did. Yeah, so I said, time to take a vacation. So,
yeah, good.
The last show I did was with you, and it's only been on BitChute, right? So that's the only place I didn't put it on the YouTube channel, just to see, if we could get people to move over to the BitChute, which it has moved over. It's slowly. Where's the last one from Dan and Tank?
Yeah. Well, it's everything's tightened up, right? So as soon as we started discussing that we were, that Kim was going to be involved and we were going to launch the United News channel, we've obviously been a subject of interest for a lot of different groups who certainly don't want this whole thing disrupted, their control on the information highway, so that they can influence what people think and what they believe is true and what they believe is real. So the United News channel represents freedom and liberation for the people, right? It's one of the essential components that has to launch for humanity to be free. Information is obviously very, very important, right? We base our decisions on it. And so if you have bad information, such as the information they're putting out perpetually about COVID-19 still, it's very hard for people to make good decisions, right? Now, like, for example, the World Health Organization came out and said, outright that based on all of their studies that they've now done, that COVID-19 is not being transmitted human to human, right? Person to person, it's not. So, if anything, it's very, very rare, right? So the masks, they're saying they don't help, right? They just do not help. So
this is the first time I've heard that it's not being human to human transmitted. So I've heard that, that it's actually a bacteria. Right, I heard that angle, that there's a virus, but there's also a bacteria that's coming, that somehow is accompanying it, and they both together manifest themselves as, this disease.
So you have this introduction of this, like just the same way you had the radar waves introduced at the same time you had the Spanish flu, and you have the 5G towers introduce, a change in the collective frequency, right? And one of the things they observed is the release of a bacteria from the cells, and this resulted in oxygen failure causing hypoxia, right? So there's going to be some evidence coming out to support and show that that's what it really is. So now, if your body, now this is according to OSHA, right? Now OSHA says, first of all, your N95 mask, right, is really not meant. It's not meant to be, used in this way. It's going to be, you have to change it out. The surgical masks are meant to be used in a sterile environment So there, you'd have to change them every 20 to 30 minutes. The cloth masks are the worst because they're going to actually harbor, bacteria, right?
Yeah.
So now, what does the CDC recommend? Well, they recommend a cloth mask, right? Well, if that's the one that is going to actually hold on to the bacteria, then, and your body is trying to get rid of bacteria. Mm-hmm. So basically, every time you breathe out, you're breathing out waste. Carbon dioxide. Actually, people don't. There's a new study that just came out, and I had read something about this similar like 10 years ago, about how a majority of fat loss actually comes from breathing out the carbon dioxide. Right? You're actually breathing out the waste, right? So you're breathing out the waste, including in this is the bacteria. Right? So as you're breathing out this bacteria, you breathe it out into the air, it filtrates naturally, dies off, whatever, right? But if you're breathing it into a mask, into basically a moist environment where bacteria would, probably be able to grow, and then you're locking it against your face, you're essentially breathing out bacteria, and then it has no place to go, so you breathe it right back in.
Yeah.
So essentially, if I were to plan this, right, and I was an evil bad guy trying to kill people off, and I wanted to manufacture a crisis, and it wasn't working the way I'd hoped, I'd have to figure out how do we get them to, hang on to this bacteria longer and breathe it in more. Let's make them all wear masks, right? That will force them to constantly breathe in their own bacteria.
Right. Restrict their air intake as well.
Mm-hmm.
So your lungs have to work harder to pull air in through, so you're restricting the amount of actual oxygen you're bringing in. So you're, in essence, harming yourself by wearing the mask.
So, and then on top of that, this is happening on a cellular level, right? So a ventilator is helping you literally press and compress your lungs, right? So that has nothing to do with what's happening on a cellular level. So you don't affect it in a positive way at all. In fact, what you do is you fatigue the muscles, you exacerbate the problem. So it's like it's like having a kid having an asthma attack and you have them run sprints, right? It's like if you've ever had a kid, when you watch a kid have an asthma attack, it's scary, right? Especially as a parent, because your kid can't breathe, right? It's terrifying. And they're basically suffering with, they've got constricted, pathways, the bronchi is not, processing oxygen fast enough for getting rid of the carbon dioxide. And so, this kid is struggling to breathe, right? And I had asthma when I was a kid. It was terrible, right? So if you would have had me run a sprint, I would have died, So that's basically what they've done, right? They hook people up to vents, and then they basically let them code out. Now that is a fact that has been happening, right? We have all types of reports on that. We're collecting affidavits from nurses, medical professionals who are willing to stand up and describe their experiences. There's a video out there with I can't remember her name, but she's a nurse, and she came out. I mean, she shows video. She took video every single day in the hospital. She showed how the patients were COVID negative. They were negative for COVID-19. It wasn't there. It's like, well, why are they in this ward then? Why are they hooked up to a ventilator? Right?
Yep.
So anyways, my point is that obviously one of the most, what I would say is the most essential weapon in our arsenal against the deep state and against depopulation and against, all of humanity being enslaved is knowing what's going on, right? Because we outnumber them significantly, right? But because we don't know, and we've been held hostage in a perpetual state of ignorance, this is why.
That's a very good terminology. Professional state of ignorance.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, so this has basically been going and ongoing, and they're scrambling to try to keep, their everything alive, right? So this is why when you have, you have to really examine it and ask yourself, you know, with this, with the Democrats being so pro Black Lives, right? They're so all about Black Lives Matter. You know, why would they all be bow down on one knee with a sash around their neck that is actually symbolic of the slave owners from Africa?
Right.
Like, are you so poorly versed? I mean, you guys planned this whole scene, right? Did you think that everyone was going to be so ignorant that they wouldn't know what that was? And I would say yes. The answer is yes. Where they're really falling apart is that they're furious that people keep figuring it out. You know, it's like, why do you keep calling me on this? This is what we do. Right? We lie to you. You're just supposed to accept it. Why do you guys keep figuring this out? Right? It's got to be very frustrating for them.
That's a big problem, right? It's the great awakening that's going on is that they cannot hide anymore in the shadows because we're not accepting what they're telling us. You know, the mainstream media falsehoods is basically everything they say is scripted. It's created narrative, right? It has nothing to do with what is actually happening, right? So part of this narrative is the con job 19, right? To have people be afraid of this, right? But the numbers are not holding up, you know. So people ask, well, why are you keep reporting on the new cases when we have super testing facilities now that are going to test the whole country by the end of the year and everyone will be shown up, but then that will shrink the death rate.
Well, right. That's the point, right? It's like, it's backfiring because they think, well, you know, part of what they're doing right now, we know this, that we've, you know, that there's tests that are being done and they have these testing kits. People are going into you know, they're signing up to get a free test down at CVS, right? They go down, they're standing in line, they decide they don't want to go, right? They don't want to stand in line, so they leave. They get a call like an hour later from CVS and they say, hey, we just want to let you know that you tested positive for COVID-19. And they're like, how could I have tested positive? I didn't take the test, right? And you got other examples where you got people, you know, where they have.
There's something to go along with that. So this is something that's new that they're doing. So if someone tested positive, right, and you were in line with them, then you also test positive because you were in line with someone who's already infected. So that's the new thing that they're doing, right? That it's associated positive testing. So you're just you're in the area where someone had it. That's what their importance of this contact tracing stuff was all about, right? So that they can say, oh, well, he has it. That means everyone that he ever came in contact with also has it. And that's why they can beat the fear drum.
Well, and then they're manipulating people everywhere. So, you know, I have a crew of people that are, you know, that are exist in like a homeless community, right? A couple different homeless communities, right? And they give me intel what's going on at that level, right? And they're so diligent, and they're so effective, and I really appreciate it. And they just load me up with so much information. And every now and again, when, you know, I have a few minutes, I just start going through all the incredible things they're telling me. And some of it is just research, right? Because some of these people are just, I mean, they're super smart people that have been ahead of the game, you know? They were trying to protest and reveal these conspiracies before it was cool, you know? So they got like basically unbanked on everything, right? Unpersoned, and they basically drove them into, you know, a life of homelessness, right? And so, you know, being homeless never helps you make your case, right? That it's happening. But fortunately, I feel very, you know, blessed to have them in my field to share information with me, right? So they were telling me that there was they're staying at a FEMA camp. I'm like, there's FEMA camps? I didn't know there was FEMA camps set up. I didn't know that, right? They're saying that they were holding back water from people if they didn't get tested for COVID-19. How about that for an answer?
Yeah.
That sounds like some concentration camp kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. And you can't. I just saw. Let's see if I have it. I might have it queued up. There's a doctor um, he was just questioning some of these things, right? These policies, and I said, this doesn't make any sense. And he got censored, right? He's, I won't play because it's, he goes on for about 20 minutes, but a lot of doctors are now stepping up and saying, this isn't our standard way that we actually give care, right? We're not forced to put COVID on a death certificate just because, right? And that's what's happening now, right? Just to inflate the numbers. And, I'm surprised, that it's taking them this long for the doctors to really come out. I mean, en masse, but it's starting to happen. But it's a good sign, right? It's because they say, well, this is not right? So this needs to be fixed. And we know this is something else that has happened. I just caught this morning. I posted this on my Parler account. Actually, I could probably bring that up when I do that. This was pretty interesting. Share my screen. Yeah, so there's my Parler. I'm at 812 followers, but this is right here. I wrote this, China lied, people died. The WHO is busted. Caught red-handed, changing the information on their website to cover the tracks on the China virus timeline. Changing information on their website. And so there's a video about it. So the link for my Parler is down below, so you can go and check it out and get to it. But they're really, it's kind of a new news channel type of thing. It's a 4-minute video. Let's see if I can play it. Hold on. I have to go to YouTube and show it.
Response. We've discussed all these crimes in detail several times on the show. We were even promised an interview, remember, by the WHO chief. He chickened out then. It's been months. So we decided to find out just what the body has been up to after failing to live up to its core mission and telling the world that the worst is yet to come. What we found was quite worrying. The World Health Organization has quietly altered the sequence of events that led to this pandemic. I want to repeat that. The WHO has changed the timeline of the coronavirus pandemic. For 6 months, this body claimed that China informed it about the Wuhan virus on the 31st of December, 2019. Well, now it has taken a U-turn, and a rather big one. We have the archived version of the WHO timeline on COVID-19. It's on your screen. Read very carefully. Look at what it says. December 31st, 2019, Wuhan Municipal Health Commission reported a cluster of cases of pneumonia in Wuhan. A novel coronavirus was eventually identified. The WHO clearly stated that this virus was identified on the 31st of December. The statement implied that the virus was reported to the WHO by China.
Well, now, I won't go any further, but basically, we're discovering these things, very quickly, right? And we're trying to call them on it. So this is where every concerned citizen now has a voice, and we put it out there in social media. We're able to report on it. We're able to give those details and ask those critical thinking questions like, well, why did you change the information? I mean, it wasn't correct back then. So all of these things that we're now being able to do, we're bypassing their control system of the mainstream media, their programming of the people.
Well, but again, yes, we are in niches of groups, but this is why a mainstream outlet that's actually telling the truth really has the potential to dominate the news waves, to change the shift, the energy, the direction of, you know, the way that everyone does business, the way that everyone operates in virtually any aspect of our lives, right? So this is, you know, it's so important. That's why the United News Channel is such a key thing. And I got to be honest, I really, if I wasn't part of it and watching it happen, you know, like we have real producers, real you know, people that have been in this business for a long time. Nobody does this. Nobody launches a channel in under a year, ever, right? There's so much to do. There's, I mean, and when I, like in what we're doing, there is really just a tremendous amount of things to do. There's a lot of expenses, and we've been, you know, for the first time collecting donations and putting it to work, and then finding ways to do things the same quality, but for less money. And what that requires is a lot of individual work, right? You know, Kim has built a ton of stuff, you know, from scratch, you know, so we can do this. And, but when it's done, we'll have an app that everyone can, you know, have, right? For like, they'll be able to buy the app. I mean, I think it's gonna be like $2 or something, right? And they'll have the app, right? And people are like, oh, now we got to pay for the news. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have to. You can remain in ignorance if you want. If $2 is too much, don't pay. Like, it's funny. Like, people are like, you know, trying to come after us for doing like something like that. It's like, look, we have to find a way to keep in business and to protect people. You know, we're about to do what nobody has done, right? Not just on a, you know, a platform which is valuable. You know, I don't want to take away from that, but to create an uncensored network. You know, our reporters around the world, I mean, we have dozens of reporters now. They're all citizen journalists, and many of them were professional journalists at some other point. You know, like with professional journalists in Germany and Holland, and I mean, the UK. I mean, all over the world, right? That were professional journalists, and you know, at some point, the system, you know, they caught on to what was going on, and they have, you know, documentaries they've made and all types of stuff that didn't hit the mainstream, right? Because they bucked against the system, and now they have a platform where they can, you know, share the truth of what's going on in real time, right? So as they're reporting, you know, one thing to scare people, like, we can have real people on the ground showing, no, that's not what's happening, right? And we don't have to go after and attack them. What we're going to do is just preach the truth, you know, just by speaking the truth, right? Or more importantly, being the truth speaking, right? It's obvious. It just immediately highlights what they're not doing, right? You know, the repeated script, you suddenly will realize everybody else is saying the same things as everyone else. They're all saying the same things, and we'll be the only ones coming out with real news. You know, the things you were telling me about the Philippines today, that, you know, I'm going to put that into a report immediately, right? And I might ask you to do an interview so we can report on it, because that's the kind of stuff that people don't know. They don't realize how ridiculous this whole thing is. What's happening right now with the pandemic. Oh, so these are the components, right? That we know we have to change, right? You have to change education. Right now, there's many ways to educate, but you have to change education. So you got to educate people differently, and the media is one of the ways to do that. You know, you have to change the media. You know, we're going to have to actually change what's being taught in our schools, because kids aren't even being taught real science, right? They've been dumbing down the American education system, at the very least, you know, since they standardized testing back in the early 80s. You have to give people a chance, you know, to be healthy by telling them what's good for their health, instead of fabricating and creating, you know, anything that you want to sell as being what's good for you, right? Instead of, you know, the FDA being the end all be all, the approval on all types of things that are not even food, right? These are things, these are fillers.
On this, so you brought up those, we're talking about building this report for the Philippines, and what I brought this as a segment of this is like, what is the agenda, right? What are they trying to do? You said something about how they're fabricating what they want, right? You to believe. But why do they want you to wear a mask? Why do they want you to be 6 feet apart? There is an agenda behind this that has nothing to do with your health. In fact, it's actually the opposite, right? It doesn't matter if it's good for you or bad. It isn't part of what it has nothing to do with it. They have things that they want to occur and they want society to act in certain ways. And they come up with a reason, a path, a reality, and they push that through the programming, the repeated talking points. The Mockingbird media just keeps feeding this out into the population so that people start to resonate with it. And then after a while, we say, this is stupid, right? Why are we doing this? Why are we wearing a mask everywhere? Why can't we get together and go to church? What is the agenda there? Why can you go to the liquor store or Costco or Walmart, but you can't go to an outdoor, baseball game?
It reminds me of this. There was this. Somebody was telling me a story about this town in Italy, many, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, and they ran out of olive oil, right? So they started using, to cook the pasta and stuff with, right? They started using rape seed oil, right? Is what they use for like the gears, right? And they started using this rape seed oil just temporarily, and then I guess they just kept using it, and over a very short period of time, 80% of the population got killed off, right? Because the rapeseed oil, it would basically it would block the white blood cells from clearing out the waste, right? So, and they were explaining to me, and there's actual microbiology there's actual footage of this to show how it works, right? And that's the same ingredient. Rapeseed oil is the same thing that's in canola oil, right? So
well, they don't like the name rapeseed oil because even though it's raping the body of the white blood cells,
right,
it's not a good image, right? So they have to change it.
So, but everyone kept using this, even though it isn't what they were used to, right? They normalized it, right? So you want to take over a culture, you have to introduce a poison kind of, right? And then normalize it so it becomes standard. And then all of the health issues you blame on something else. So they were looking for all the answers in other places, right? So imagine, we know for a fact if you separate people and we need contact, we need each other. It's how we're made, right? We are just, human contact is an essential part of any productive human's life. Like you need to have a social group. Like these are just parts of our culture, right? And so if you just keep perpetuating a lie and then you blame it on something else, you're always forced to look in the wrong place, right? Like if you know it's in the closet, you keep looking in the closet. Meanwhile, it's sitting there in the living room the whole time. You don't even know, right? And that's basically what they have us doing. They have us constantly looking in the wrong places, and then what do? They blame it. They start a fight with us, with each other, right? But it has nothing to do with each other. We're not the ones. Both sides are being manipulated, right? So now they're doing that as we speak, right? Constantly perpetuating these things against each other. So anyways, you have to change the media, you have to change the education. You have to change healthcare, right? So you actually care about people's health. You have to actually introduce real science, real cures. You have to stop trying to outlaw things that are good for people and stop enabling things that are bad for people. That's pretty basic, right? I mean, that's pretty well, yeah, duh, of course. But if we realize that chemotherapy kills, 100% of the people who get it, right? 100% of the people who end up going into cancer treatment using chemotherapy, they die from muscle atrophy and organ failure caused by chemotherapy. It's not caused by the cancer, right? Because there's a lot of ways to cure cancer. And one thing we know definitely never cures cancer is chemotherapy, never, right? So you got to actually stop malicious practices that are harmful to humans. Number one, you have to stop putting fluoride in the water and chemtrails. I mean, these are basics 101, right? Now, at the same time, you have to change the financial system because none of this is possible as long as we're in a system that revolves around money, to do without money, right? Like you're going to have to do that. So that has to happen, right? And then you need security, right? Because as soon as you start to disrupt the system of this very small group who's in control of the money, these other things, it's like, well, all they have to do is just, threaten your life and, beat you up and whatever else, kill you, and then, so you need security. So now we've been working on these things for a long time, but we're finally at a point where all those changes can happen simultaneously, right? President Trump, a few weeks back, no, about a month back now, he had a meeting to approve all types of alternative medical treatments that, previously either would have been outlawed or not available. That's a huge breakthrough that nobody's talking about in the media. Right. We should certainly be talking about it, right? That is something that the UNC, so what do you need? You need to get that message out. Well, who's going to put it out? Well, none of these mainstream outlets. Well, now the United News Channel will, right? So then you have, at the same time, it's like you've got all these private agencies, NGOs, non-government organizations that, they basically have this perceived authority that's not real, right? The FBI can come to your house and scare you and don't let them in. Child Protective Services comes to your house, take your kid, don't let them in. Do not let them in, do not cooperate with them. Make them prove it, get it in writing 2 weeks in advance, tell them, give an exact explanation why. Do not be scared or intimidated by them. Knowledge is power, right? So if you have a mainstream outlet that's telling you the truth, and then you couple that with, an actual course of action to take so that people can get it, and then you have a civilian task force of people where you can literally call on a group and say, I have someone at my house who's claiming to be from the FBI or claiming to be whatever, and I don't know why they're here. And they're here to harass me. I need help. And then you have a body of people that know the law, show up. Matter of fact, we, with Life Force, I just had a great conversation with a gentleman today. And we're going to set up, we're going to have this, I'm hoping it'll be this seamless, but hopefully by the end of the week, we're going to make Life Force a national account with them. And to all of our members, we'll be able to offer training for, through like weapons training for concealed, the United Concealed Carry Organization, Association, something like that, right? And they'll actually be able to, they'll be trained to shoot, and they'll be licensed to carry. But not only that, they also they have a actual system to set up. So like if someone is injured while you're defending yourself, right? So if you shoot somebody in the leg, like somebody breaks into your house, you shoot them in the leg, you shouldn't have to pay anything, right? But sometimes those people, even though they broke into your house, the way the legal structure is set up, they sue you.
Right.
So this has a system in place to prevent, to make sure that, as long as you did everything the right way and you didn't intend to hurt somebody, that it'll pay for that. I'm like, that's a huge part. I mean, when they called me, somebody's been in my network a long time and they had changed what they were doing. Right. And I was like, wow, I mean, that's a perfect fit, right? To provide that service.
Yeah. So
it gives people some security to actually function in a way that's productive, right? So there's that. And then, so when you put all these pieces together, basically what you have is you are giving people a fighting chance, right? Giving people a chance, and you're giving them a choice. And in this case, having a choice is everything.
Free will.
Yep. And your choice shouldn't be between do this or die, right? Like that's not a choice, right?
Well, die this way or die that way. those are the choices they give you. Would you like to die this way, or would you like to die that way? No, I take the option to live. Where is that?
Yeah, so my people down in the homeless camp, I'm going to try to, or the FEMA camp, I'm going to see if I can get some video from them, show me what's going on. Because if they're giving people a choice, either you get tested or, you don't get water, right? It's like, what? How is that? How could you possibly do that? Because you're basically taking a sector of the society that you kind of you've chalked it up to no one's going to care. Like, who the hell are you to make that decision that no one's going to care? So you know what? I care. I care, man. Those are my people down there. Like that's garbage, man. You know,
Well, just
anybody can end up homeless. Anybody. You know.
the thing about the whole system has been set up to push people out of homes, out of work. They're homeless. Look what's happened in California. You know, all of these tent cities that are popping up. They're homeless now. So these people now have no rights. Is that what it comes down to? Oh, you have to get your testing, or we're not going to allow you to, do this or do that. Whatever their controlling system is, the system is being created to make sure that nobody has a home, right? And then turn to the
all these businesses that were, what I would call like, like if you sell artwork, right? If you're an artist, it's very hard to make a living during the Depression, right? Because who's buying artwork during the Depression, right? So all these businesses that are like kind of extras, they're not extras. They just they add to your quality of life, right? They're all going out of business because they can't open.
Yeah.
It's like the karate studios, the gyms, clothing stores, boutiques, independently owned organizations. They're all being driven out of business. This is all by design. Make no mistake. They want everything to be structured around a corporate system where we all wear gray and, we're basically the whole world becomes communist.
Right.
Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. So, implementing Life Force, the United News Channel, and like really making things available, giving people an option. Man, I'll tell you something. I am so excited about it. Seeing what it is, even with all the hatred being, that is like all the things that people are trying to attempt to discredit us. I'm like, how are you going to discredit what we're doing? It's like, for 3 years we didn't take any donations. Now we're collecting donations just literally like today to get the Life Force app. Now we have this app. We have a UNC app, right? That's actually like a television app, so we can launch a network and it can be self-sustaining. But also the Life Force app, right, is going to be a network of people around the world, right? So, you can actually, you'll know who's in your area, right? And you'll have a network of people that you could talk to. Now, if you're part of the Life Force and you're just, everyday citizen, you don't carry a weapon or anything, you're not trained, but you might be able to help with the administration or the organization or community outreach. Why wouldn't Life Force do that too? Right. Reach out and make your community better. I always use this example. This one time, my sons, when they were like 3 years old, we were walking in a parking lot and they dropped some garbage in the parking lot. And I made them pick up every piece of garbage in the parking lot, right? And I did that, and I remember talking to them, and I did it with them. I didn't like leave them hanging or anything, but when I did it, I told them, I said, if we don't take care of our neighborhood, nobody will. So when you live in a neighborhood and it's run down, well, that's where you live. That's your choice, right? You get to decide. Now, if you live in a place and because the rent's cheap, that doesn't mean the place has to be run down, because it doesn't cost anything to have a place be clean, And once you get people to adopt that attitude about taking ownership of where they live, that it represents who they are, it can change everything. Now, who are we looking to clean up the planet? It's got to be us.
Yeah.
It's got to be us.
Yeah, well, the ones in charge right now, we already know they're corrupted. They're beyond corrupt. Yes, we have the few, sprinkles of good people there, but even some of the people that are, just on the gray path, they don't want to rock the boat, right? Those people are closing their eyes. They don't want to. They just let stuff go because they don't want to lose, their job, their retirement, whatever it is, right? So the system is corrupt, and it's not about burning it down, and replacing it with communism. It's about removing the communist corporate system that's already in place, right? And putting good people in place and replacing the control system, the central banking system, the levers of power that have been put throughout, whether it's the corporate systems or again in the structure of government, that they put all these statutes. You got to abide by these things and follow in line and do all these. So these things are not meant for our benefit. It's meant for their benefit. And we have to identify them, and we are, right? And the good thing is we have a leader, in Trump. He said they're up to 193 countries, that are, on the side to fight the invisible enemy. The new number has gone up, so more countries are joining in. So it sounds like a new United Nations, or maybe it's need of restructuring, right? Remove the existing, problem. I don't know if that's the best, solution, or to just make something new. But we need to do it, right? We need to take those steps, and that's what we are seeing. When that's what I'm very excited about. It gives me a good feeling to know, even with all of the stuff that's going down right now in the news, it's heavy stuff, right? And it's not gonna slow down. It's gonna speed up from here. So you just gotta hang on and do your part where you can.
So Dan, did you see this tweet of this? It's a guy giving a speech or a testimony of some sort, and he's talking about Barack Obama doing crack, right? About him paying Barack Obama to go get him crack or get him coke, then performing fellatio on him, right? And on 2 occasions, right? And he and it's got the funniest hashtag I've ever seen. It's hashtag Barack Obama loves crack and gay sex. I was like, how is this a thing that's out there, right? This guy's testimony, sure, right?
That's quite a long hashtag. Yeah,
I know, but it's just like one of those things that's where, how is this buried? Like, this isn't a little thing.
I heard something about this way back when, right? When Obama was in office, I heard about something along those lines, but I never saw anything, other than, hearing about people talking about it, what that was about.
So, this is the beauty of life force, right? So to me, this is like groundbreaking that you're going to give, key leaders in life force access to the key intelligence and military system. So the same way that they have access to this information, which they clearly do nothing with, right? Kim turned in a full file exposing, this whole group that was, I don't know, they've got one internet site, the Team Bubba group, and then they go over to, the guy connects over to a child trafficking and pornography, network in Lithuania, I think, and then it comes back to KPMG, which manages the banking system.
It does
for the security for the banking for the entire country, probably the entire world, right? Yeah. And clearly doing a bang up job, right? Because every bank in the world is insolvent. So kudos, right? So how about we just leave everything about their system, which is clearly broken? You don't have a single expert in the financial world that you can count on, because even if they're an expert, what have they done? Right? They basically run the banking system into the ground at the expense of everyone else. So you can't trust any of them. So, but so you take this thing now, here the FBI is right now. Here's the FBI. The FBI is investigating, like this case. Kim turns over a file to the FBI. She serves it up on a platter. There's not even an investigation. She gave them the proof, right? And they get called by 3 or 4 senators, right? Of which I believe we have the names of, and they stop the investigation, telling them to stop the investigation. Now, wait a minute. You're the FBI. Your job is to investigate crimes. If those senators called to tell you to stop the investigation, they're complicit in that crime. You should be investigating them.
They should be investigated for asking them to stop by the FBI.
Right. So now my next question is, okay, so why is the FBI, why do we revere the FBI with such, reverence, and the CIA and NSA? Why? Because they told us they're the experts, right? We all believe that they're there to protect us.
Well,
Eisenhower tried. What's that?
It's on TV. The FBI, all these FBI shows. criminal shows, the FBI is always, painted in this particular light of being, on the side of the good guys and so on.
Eisenhower tried to do away with these agencies and bring everything under the control of the executive branch, right? So now here we are with Life Force, and we're queued up to do that exact thing, right? To be and really an agency, a civilian agency under the executive branch. But it was, they tried to put us under the Department of Justice. They were making badges and everything, right? Now they're going to put us under, now they're supposed to be putting us under the post office, but to be quite honest, it doesn't matter because Kim sits above them anyways. So at the end of the day, there's security clearance that can be made available, right? And there's, access to the actual intelligence system. So besides security clearance and access to the actual intelligence system and training, what else makes an agency an agency? Nothing, right? So Life Force Enforcement Unit will be as formidable as any agency and have the authority, I'm assuming at least equal authority to any of them, if not above it, right? So, we're setting up this app so that we can have this and actually get people interpreting laws. Now, the next thing is that the Life Force will work in harmony with the assemblies, right? So, been a lot of work to get these assemblies set up, right? And there's some specific things to do with the assemblies, right? According to the Constitution. But at the end of the day, it's the people that decide what the laws are, right? So as long as the people come together and they have a good representation enough to do business, and they make their announcements the right way and they go through the process, it's not that complicated, right? And so what happens is with these legal professionals, they always try to complicate everything, right? They try to interfere. But I can tell you, the New York Assembly is formidable, man. They're on top of it. They're putting notice out. They're writing documents, and they're taking a stand, right, and helping people, right. They're helping businesses, and so there's a way to counteract this stuff. We don't have to take it anymore, right? What we have to do is we have to be on top of things the best we can be. We have to do things in a lawful fashion, which we will, and we are, and we know that they're going to come after us for every little thing, right? So we're just doing our very best, and that's part of the reason why we have to take things a little bit. I'll say slow, but when did we announce we were going to start UNC? 6 weeks ago. Yeah. Not long, right? It's not like it's not like we've been doing this for a year. It's like we just got to this point, right? So, we should. And we've had it right on the verge of where I thought we'd be able to get certain things done, and but it's a learning process. Like we get something finished, and it's like, okay, we're going to need this now, or like somebody promises something and they don't come through on it. Like that happens, it happens. But I will say that the people involved are so well qualified, and they are relentless. And they're getting it done. They're getting it done. And this is going to be the real news. Real news shared with people in a way that's palatable and considerate and mainstream. It'll have its own television show. They're going to have real history. There's going to be real forensic accountant who used to be working the white collar crimes division for the FBI, who's going to help with here's the real law on the tax laws and help with that kind of stuff. We've got got a vet talk is coming out. There's the guys from a bunch of vets that are interviewing and talk to the vets what they're going through. To give and we're going to have healing options, right? To actually help guys with PTSD and all these different things, and actually make things available to people that are healthy, right? And actually serve humanity instead of trying to serve us up, Yeah,
to serve them up, put them on the platter.
Yeah,
well, that's all good. So the interesting thing about what you're saying here is that this is we know what needs to get done. We know where all the problems are. We need to go ahead and address about the health issues or the whatever it comes up that we need to focus on. Waiting for the government to create a bureaucracy and put it in place and have them act, it's not going to do anything other than line some people's pockets, and they're going to get some narrative that they're going to speak about on the news, and that's it. Nothing will change. We have to do it. you know, and that's it's interesting that we're able to get this, you know, this recognition by way of an executive order. Am I saying that correctly? You know,
you know, I'm not sure. You know, we'll see how that goes down. I don't know yet. You know, I know Trump was just threatened as recently as this weekend. You know, so you gotta be considerate. That's why, you know, we're not reliant on anyone to move forward at this point. We're not waiting for the president's approval or anyone else's. We're doing things in a lawful way, which is our right to do, and we are making sure that we do everything above board, and we're being very transparent. Now, I would like the president to support it. You know, he has already said outright he's supporting it, but then, you know, then they try to put us under the Department of Justice, right? I mean, Kim talks about this. If you go to the Speak Project, you'll see, like, there's a video about this, and Kim talks about this. She talks about, you know, all these things. She says, like, you know, like, you know, she explains that, like, at first everybody was on board, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then they realized that, hey, we're not gonna be able to control this, right? So every veteran out there, go to Life Force, Life L-I-F-E, Force F-O-R-C-E, lifeforce.cc for Central Command. All right, go to lifeforce.cc, sign up. Anybody, if you want to be, you just want to be part of it, there's a place for that. Hey, I just want to be part of Life Force. You know, you're an inventor, you're a veteran, you're somebody who's been in civilian militia, you just want to be part of the, you know, administration, you just want to help in any way you can, go sign up any way you can. Go there, check it out, do it. You know, we're you know, I think, you know, I depleted our donations today to get the final piece to complete the app for Life Force. And if anybody heard, if anybody heard Kim, sorry, I'm running across the road. Sorry. So
Don't get hit.
if anybody heard Kim, she talked about how there'll be a way to notify people if you're in danger from the Life Force app without, you know, opening, you know, silently without making a call. So we had to integrate that and figure out how to do it. So, but I think we did. It's gonna be pretty cool. So
It's awesome.
yeah, but it's been a process, you know, and I'll tell you, at the end of the day, you know, the proof is in the product, right? So, you know, we definitely feel the pressure to get it out, and there's, you know, it's funny because Kim and I are a lot alike this way, and it makes it very effective to get things done. But there's nobody in my life who's ever been harder on me than I am, you know. So I'm not and Kim's the same way. So, like, there's a lot of pressure on us from ourselves more than anything, you know. In addition to, obviously, people need help, you know. People need help, and it's definitely coming.
Well, how soon would this app be ready? It's gonna be in the Play Store and also the Apple Store.
Depending how tomorrow goes, I would say potentially by the end of the week.
Okay.
We just might not have the feature. There's just one feature we have to have added that I already mapped out for the programmers, you know, to explain how, you know, how you could use existing code already to do it. So
Pretty common.
yeah, it's pretty common. But it's not. I don't know of another app that uses it this way, so it'll be cool.
Okay, awesome. You know, so will it be tied into the videos that, like, you know, like you'll be able to see the videos that you're uploading onto the United News Channel on this app? So it's going to come through there that way.
No, these are going to be totally different apps.
Okay.
So you'll have an app for the Life Force, which will be, it'll kind of be, it'll be like what the creators. Sorry.
I put them together as one thing. So United News Channel. And
No. So the United News Channel is because there's all types of things that have to go into that. So, it's going to be a live streaming. It's going to be, there'll be like movies, like kind of like Netflix, right? There'll be, it'll be, the other thing is there won't be, there's commercials right now in like YouTube or on television. They'll break everything and you'll have a commercial. Well, this won't do that, right? It's like, like if we're wearing a certain brand, we mention it or we mention a product, like there'll be something called brandingo, and brandingo will basically, it'll show up, right? And it'll be offered there. So you can see like, oh, like if somebody were like, oh, what was that? It'll show like, the bottom of the screen afterwards. So you don't have to, there's no commercials to break what's being said. It'll just kind of be there. That'll be like one of the ways that things are set up, which is, brandingo, it's such an intelligent design, and it was presented in Hollywood, and they were basically like, what do we care? We make plenty of money now. Yeah. So basically you have this dedication to mediocrity all the time. So all these incredible ideas that people have had, including, like Life Force is going to be funding inventors and all types of development of new technology and manufacturing and create new jobs. And, because that's all going to be an extension of Life Force, of the the global mission of Life Force Global,
Yeah.
So, the United News Channel application will be totally different, than the Life Force app. The Life Force app, the United News Channel app is I think it's just about ready. Basically Kim had to learn how to code it from scratch. I'll say Kim's no joke, by the way. she's no joke. She picks things up pretty quick. So she's got that. I think it's just about ready to go. That might be done, but they should be pretty close to one another. The two apps should come out.
Mm-hmm.
But the app will be available for Life Force on lifeforce.cc. We'll have it there, and it'll be in the app stores. I think, usually there's a wait period, but because the way that we're doing it is, Kim was concerned before about using like, kind of canned programming, right? But now she figured out how to fortify it so it can't be hacked.
Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, there's a lot of code out there, so usually it's good to have someone independently go through things and find it. If you have an eye for coding yourself, you can go through and follow it. But you have to. It's like learning another whole language every time you go into a program. So, but yeah, it's there's ways to work around it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Life Force app will be, it will still be in many ways a social media app, right? But it will be, it'll still be a private community, right? So it's much in the way that the Creators Network was intended to be. It'll be a lot like that.
Okay.
So I'll probably bring everybody from the Creators Network over into the Life Force app, right? And then it'll be kind of but we'll have kind of a different presence there because we're going to have a whole security aspect, right, to it. So, you'll have groups in there, that where you're, they're specific to your local community. So it won't just be an online social app, right? It'll be an app where these are real people you know, that you train with, that you talk to, you know, not just that you're a fair weather friend on Facebook. And there won't be any way to harvest the data. There won't be a back door to do that, right?
Okay.
So ultimately, you know, Life Force should become a, you know, kind of a standard name, right? Where it's just like, this is the Life Force network, where we're all united around revitalizing humanity, right? We all agree, like, I want to make a living, you know, I agree to operate my business in a way that is in harmony with the best interests of my fellow man, the planet, and the individual personal experience, right? So pretty simple when you think about it. You know, what's hard to believe is what they do to us, or what they've been doing. They've gotten away with it so long, you know.
Right. Yeah, they definitely have their whole separate, you know, society, separate. They've separated themselves from us a long time ago, and they don't let anyone in on the club, right? And if you're not in, you know, you're not going to progress, you know, beyond what they're going to allow, because you don't even know what you can get to, right? Because you'll hit this wall and you don't even know it.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if anybody caught this, but it's I think it's in part 2 of last week's call. Oh, and one other thing too, we will have a regular Life Force you know, situation report, along with a Q&A on Sundays at 4 o'clock. Now, this past Monday, I didn't realize that the limit on the Zoom was only 100 people. So we did upgrade so that we can, you know, have 1,000 people on the call. So just to let everybody know that everyone's welcome. We expect that to grow. You know, if we hit 1,000, we need more people, we'll upgrade to 10,000, and we'll just keep doing that, because we expect to grow, right?
Yeah.
And that call is, I mean, for as long as Kim continues to do that, I gotta say, it's kind of an amazing opportunity, you know. You know, if you listen to some of the things that Kim was breaking down, just kind of passing knowledge that she shares, it's just amazing stuff, you know. I mean, it's her personal experiences. It's not, you know, she's telling you what's real, what really happened. So when she discusses, you know, what they're creating, what they're doing, that's not coming from like a third-hand source or a theory. That's fact. That's what happened.
Oh, that'll be fantastic. So Sundays at 4 Eastern Standard Time? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And is it going to be the same link, same Zoom link, or is it be a new Zoom link?
If you go to lifeforce.cc, you will see the link is there under announcements. You go there, and we'll have everything there. The Life Force website, where I'm trying to keep very simple but very effective, you know. So it's not a whole lot of confusion and, you know, what's here, what do I do, right? There'll be announcements like when we launch something. There'll be regular, you know, situation reports, or just, you know, updates on various things. They'll go out when new things are available. And, you know, we got a whole bunch of, you know, we put a whole bunch of gear out there, like a whole bunch of Life Force gear, you know, that people can buy. You know, we're not really making money off of Life Force gear, just so everybody knows. It's more just to get the brand out there and get people excited. You know, we put out some really cool, you know, white hats, and I call them the new white hats.
I like. I'm going to take a look at myself. I want to see what they look like. But so the the concept I think is pretty good. I did see, when I signed up, it asked me to go into the chat group, right? And I had a bit of an issue with that. And if anyone else already has done that, you said you fixed the little problem that was already there.
Yes. Yeah, there was an issue at first when I first, announced the website. Now that's fixed. So if anybody went in there and they weren't able to sign up, go back in, you'll be able to. And that's going to be very important because, that community were, I've got a few different communities built, right, with, I don't know, 10, 20,000 people. And so I'm trying to keep people updated, but it's very easy to get left out of that. Like we're too small to be, to be doing anything nefarious or to be gathering data, but like we have to create a place where we can trust each other. At some point there has to be a place where you can go that that everybody here is genuinely acting in my best interest, fighting for me. Now, I can't stop trolls from coming in. I can't, because, right away, I had some.
I found that really the best way for most of the trolls is you just ignore them. Right? You can remove them as soon as anyone makes an. All negative comments. We just out of tap. I don't even. If it just seems like they're on the wrong track, I remove it because I don't need to take any offense. I don't need to engage myself with whatever their motives are. I'm just gone, right? Now, sometimes you've got a troll that is it's more organized per se, and they have an agenda. It's not just some random troll coming out from under the bridge and yelling at you. Right? It's like an organized army of trolls. Then it's time you can take action and expose them by shining light on them. And they turn into stone and they crumble into dust.
Right, exactly. Well, it's really all this light source energy that's flowing in right now. These waves of light. I just expect that. If your intent right now isn't, for the good of the world, the good of the people, I just feel like it's not gonna prosper. If your motivation is revenge or or to whatever, I think even like a lot of times people get motivated by like there needs to be justice, right? I feel like it's a trick, So now everyone wants to see Obama arrested, right? Well, you got reports out there that Obama was already executed. So was Hillary Clinton, right? That's what they say, and they say they're just keeping the clones alive for the people.
Yeah,
well,
there's a Alice Down the Rabbit Hole. They did this whole. Names of all of these people, all these high-profile people, which ones were executed, which ones were, arrested, which ones are in jail for life. An amazing list that went on. No idea if any of it is true, but this is something that I think that is may be happening, to some extent. We have clues about this. Is Tom Hanks, still alive or not? The people that investigate this, they're pretty convincing on what they show. Like, this doesn't make any sense. This is, the timing of these videos. Look, this can be done from the past. This was something shot earlier. And then it looks like, Rita's shooting from the bathroom of a Gitmo jail set. She's in the shower, with the way it's all. And then you see a picture of the showers in Gitmo, and yeah, that's the same wall. Those are the same angles. Are they there? Have they been executed? I don't know. But I don't think any of this is going to start actually. All the real big stuff is not going to hit until after the election. I think that's going to lead all up to, and then after that, it's no holds barred. Just everything is going to come out at that point. You know.
Well, I'll tell you, my feeling about it is this.
Right.
It's not about killing off the individual, killing off Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton. They're non-factors. As individuals, they don't affect you one way or another. But keeping the image alive, that's deadly. And that's what they've done. So if that's what they did, it's not for the greatest good by any means. Right? So I don't agree with that.
I don't think that anyway, if all this has already occurred, Barack is already arrested or already executed, and they're just not talking about it until after the election. I think this is more about, trying to get through the election without, trying to create these impossible things to ferret out between now and the election. Everything that Barack Obama did, just take one of them. Everything that Hillary did, it would absorb all of the time and everything, and then the election would be, too confusing for people, right? And it's just making it a very, very clear cut, about the economy, making it through the coronavirus, and something's quite wrong, right? Everyone that's waking up to this already, which is I'm thinking we're probably up to about 30% of the population kind of figures that there's something that's wrong. That it's on these things that we all accept, right? The people that have been following along with us for a while, we all are on the same page. We know where things are. We know what's happened in the past. We know, a lot of these things have to be dealt with. We know it. But a lot of people just woke up to that this is the world that we're living in, and that this has to go. It has to end. If you just, take the pedivores, the worst of the worst thoughts of possible, of these things that these people have done, and that it's part of a control system, right? It's part of how they keep control of the people in power. It's the blackmailable material. Where it goes from there, right, is to dismantle, this worldwide, not in just America, not in just America and Europe. It's like from Africa to South America to Asia. We're talking about dismantling this system that is worldwide, and they were sitting in a position where they controlled the world for a long time, and no one could challenge them. Right? The only thing that they needed to get rid of was America and the idea of freedom and individuals being able to do things, to create, right? To make businesses out of nothing, right? And to become independent. They had to end that because they can't control that. When you have any sort of power, you're taking away from their control. So they had to end it. But and then they were going to then make sure everybody knew what system you're in, that you're all wearing gray. There is no male or female. Everybody's exactly the same. Everyone is just a drone. Go and do what your assignment is, and then get your nourishment, and then go back to your cubicle. And then they go, the people in control, the elite, or whatever you want to call them, they just keep, with their own plans, whatever though that is. Now we know that we have to dismantle this structure, but again, it's only about 30% of the population now. No, this is as far as we've come. After the election, after this pedivore stuff, all of these blackmail materials, all of the trees and stuff, they merge together into something that is, people say, these people have to be put to the island. This is something that has to really change in this world, right? We all stand up together. That's when we go from 30% to 99%. or 97%. There'll be
Absolutely.
a few percent that's not going to, that they're too far gone. What did Kim say? It was 35 million?
Yes, I think it was 35 million is the,
Yeah, they're just pure evil. I mean, that's who they are. It's what they are. It's like, it's just what it is, you know.
Yep. Yep. It's all true. So anyways, I think we're on the right track to change things around. So let's just stay the course, you know?
Yeah. We forge forward on these new paths forward, and we are doing it as we speak. You know, we just keep doing it every day. Take your steps that you can, small or large. Run, walk, just head towards the door, and let's change this now. So I think we're
Absolutely.
good for today, right? So we'll say goodbye.
All right, Dan, thanks so much for all you're doing. You have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.
Just hang on 1 minute. We'll just say goodbye to everyone, but you hang on.
Okay.
All right, bye.